The father of AI tells all, Andrej Karpathy, did an interview this week, and one of OpenAI's founding members just admitted that what nobody in Silicon Valley wants to hear. Andrej Karpathy, the guy who helped build the very foundation of modern AI, is now saying that we're at least a decade away from AI agents that actually work. Not 2025, not next year, 2035 at the earliest. And here's the part that should terrify every investor pumping billions of dollars into the space. He's not alone. The data is screaming the same warning. OpenAI is growing at only 9%, while unknown competitors are exploding at an unprecedented rate. Companies spending $400 billion this year with 95% seeing zero return. So today I'm going to break down what Karpathy really said, what the traffic data reveals, and why this might be a 17 times bigger than the dot-com crash. Let's dive into this today. Welcome to Startup Pack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Pack, we love to build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so Andrej Karpathy isn't some random critic. This is the guy who co-founded OpenAI, led AI at Tesla, and basically invented what he calls vibe coding. So he's the one who actually coined that term. When he says that we've been oversold on AI, you better listen. So we're going to dive into what he actually said today and what the numbers are telling us. Now, before we dig in, make sure you leave a comment down below because genuinely this is my favorite thing. It's the best compliment you can give me. So let me know your thoughts as we go through this. So let's dive into some of these reports and go over some of this today. So last week, Andrej Karpathy went on the podcast with Dwarkesh Patel, and he said, we're summoning ghosts, not building animals. Now, this is a 2.5 hour podcast, so I'm going to pull a bunch of relevant quotes and stuff out of it. We've gone through it for you, but I want to kind of talk about this. And in here, Andrej Karpathy, so during the interview, Andrej explains why reinforced learning is terrible, but everything else is much worse. Why AJ will not just blend into previous 2.5 centuries of 2% GDP growth, and why driving took so long to crack, and what he sees as the future of education. Now, what you notice here is this is what Karpathy has left pretty much the AI industry at this point to start to work on. He's really trying to work on the future of education. And I actually agree with him on this, that I think this is something where we are going to see some major changes over the coming 5 years. And I'm talking over the next 5 years. I think we're definitely going to see an impact on this in the next 10 years. So this is a really interesting episode, and we're going to definitely dig through some of this. Now, this is a follow-up text or post that Andrej did after, and he said, it's my pleasure to come on Dwarkesh last week. I thought the questions and conversation were really good. I rewatched the pod just now. First of all, yes, I know, and I'm sorry that I speak so fast. He and I are both, similar on this. We both speak way too fast when we get excited. It's to my detriment because sometimes my speaking thread out executes my thinking thread. I follow the same problem. So I think I botched a few explanations due to that. And sometimes I was also nervous that I'm going to too much of a tangent or too deep into something relatively spurious. Anyways, few points. AGI timelines. My comments on AGI timelines look to be the most trending part of the early response. This is the decade of agents as a reference to this. Basically, my AI timelines are about 5 to 10x pessimist with regard to what you'll find in the neighborhood of San Francisco AI house parties or your Twitter timeline. But it's still quite optimistic with regard to a rising tide of AI deniers and skepticisms. So basically, he's with me. He and I are both on the same page. We're saying this is the same thing, is that will we see AGI? I don't know. What's the definition of AGI? But he's still saying that he's about 5 to 10% more skeptical than what he hears at most of the hype places, but also like not all on board with AI deniers that says that that it's not going to happen, right? So he says the apparent conflict is not, in my opinion, we simultaneously saw a huge amount of progress in recent years with LLMs, while two, there's still a lot of work remaining to do, right? So 10 years should otherwise be a very bullish timeline for AGI. It's only in contrast to present hype that it doesn't feel that way. So this is the part that I really want to make sure I highlight, really, because it's what he's calling out in here. On some of the other stuff, he goes on to a lot of RL, which is the reinforced learning. We're not going to dive a ton into that today. He talks about the cognitive core, and he's saying this is the problem with the current LLMs and the current AI agents. Human can't memorize so easily, which now looks more like a feature than a bug by contrast, right? So he's talking about that humans don't memorize at the same rate that like an LLM can to be trained to. But the problem is that there's still the hallucination problem and a lot of the other problems that you get with the agents, and he talks about that. Now, on LLM agents, my critique of the industry is more in overshooting the tooling with regards to present capability. I live in what I view as an intermediate world where I want to collaborate with LLMs and where our pro cons are matched up. The industry lives in a future where fully autonomous entities collaborate in parallel to write all the code, and humans are useless. So he's saying, look, he likes to have humans in the loop to make humans more productive. I'm the same way. He and I follow a lot of his view lines here. He's saying the industry is saying we don't need humans anymore. So, for example, I don't want an AI agent that goes off for 20 minutes and comes back with 1,000 lines of code. I certainly don't feel ready to supervise a team of 10 of them. I'd like to go in chunks that I can keep in my head where an LM explains the code that it's writing, right? So this is more what I'm saying is where it needs to act at the same speed of humans. Other results doing is generating a lot more work for the humans, right? So I want to learn along the way and become better as a programmer, not just serve mountains of code that I'm told works. And I totally agree with this part, right? So he goes on and says, I just think the tools should be more realistic with regards to their capability and how they fit into the industry today. And I fear if this isn't done well, we might end up with mountains of slop accumulating across software and an increase in vulnerability, security breaches, etc. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Here at Startup Hack, we're actually working on many different security opportunities, and we'll have something to launch here very quickly to talk about this more. But we're working on this initiative because we see the same thing. The rise in the AI slop that's coming is generating a massive amount of security vulnerabilities. Now, let's go on to a couple of the other people who commented on this. Some podcasts are left. See there, I just talked faster than I meant to. Some podcasts are self-recommending on the Yep, and I'm going to break this one down level. This is very clearly one of those. So here you go. So he goes through and breaks down this podcast as well. So this person also agrees 2025 years agent is at least premature. You can defend the 25 claim if you focus on coding, Claude Code, and Codex, but I think even there it's more confusing than a helpful claim. I also agree that we'll be working on proving agents for a long time. This person's saying that he thinks 2026 is the proper agent. I don't think we're anywhere near it. I don't think we're going to see a ton. I think we're going to see small 1 to 3% change improvements per year for years to come, and I think they'll get smaller over the coming years, not bigger. He's also saying AI has a bunch of seismic shifts. Andrej has seen at least 2, and they seem to come with regularity. So we talked about neural nets, that they were niche before, and then the LLMs, which he was responsible in both of these. So he's definitely one of these. Now, Rakesh asked about Sutton's perspective, and I don't really want to go into the RL stuff here. That's not what the purpose of this video is. So he goes into some of the other parts. Andrej draws a distinction between the neural net picking up of all the knowledge in its training data versus becoming more intelligent. And often you don't even know the knowledge. We rely on too much parts. Quote, we want the cognitive core, right? So those are the parts I really wanted to cover there. Now, this is part of the other part of this that I think is what Andrej is also seeing, and we're seeing this across the board. AI pullback has officially started. People are beginning to confront the reality of AI, and they're not happy. So the gulf between the actual AI performance and AI hype is deep and cavernous, and we have the data to prove it. A recent MIT report, we've talked about that one, a recent meter report, and so he goes on to talk about more and more and more of this over the coming, and I'm going to show you some of the other parts of it too. So SimilarWeb, who's responsible for tracking a lot of the web traffic and other things, who've become kind of the de facto standard, is showing that we're seeing this very much slowdown in the global trends. Right now, a lot of people look at this and think, "Man, these are massive growths." These are not what we saw in the 18 months previous to this. So, sorry, in the 5 months previous to this. So we're definitely seeing that curve turn down, and we're starting to see a lot of that traffic slow down. Now, what we're starting to see is, and as you can see, the top line of this isn't growing that fast, right? But what you also see is you see OpenAI's growth completely flatlining here, right? So OpenAI is definitely shrinking. Who's growing here is the actual one that I predict is actually going to be the winner here, and that's Google Gemini. Google Gemini is increasing here. Google DeepMind has been around for a long time, and I think Gemini is going to continue to increase this lead as we go over time. They have all the data. They have a ton of users, right? If you're signing up for email as a business, you're pretty much choosing between Microsoft or Google, right? And so if you look at Microsoft's piece, then that's part of this. Now, DevOps and code completion tool traffic, right? This is a huge thing. We've seen a massive run up where vibe coding really started to take off right here, right? And you can see where Cursor came into the picture, and where lovable also came into the picture, and you see these massive growths. The other part to this is you actually see Replit, right, which was a huge vibe coding platform. You see their market share has grown just to next to nothing in here, right? Now, what we see over the rest of this scope here is we see a massive decline that has started since May. So we saw this hype run up of vibe coding tools, and we're seeing this sharp decline. Now, a lot of people are like, well, cool, draw a straight line from here to here. I think you're going to continue to see a sharp decline in this. As people find, and as the hype is already starting to die away, that you can't build $1 million company off of vibe coding, and you have to still actually follow real software development practices, you're going to see more and more people running away from vibe coding. A lot of, even character and chat AI traffic has stagnated. We're seeing a lot of these charts starting to stagnate and design and drop, right? Design and image generation traffic actually has decreased, over the last times. We're seeing writing and content tools decreasing, right? So this is a daily average. So people are using it less and less, right? So we're seeing less and less use of that. Video generation tools starting to drop. And this is even with the explosion of Sora, which I'm not sure if the explosion of Sora is listed in here. It seems interesting that that wouldn't be captured. But all the tools are definitely seeing a decline to flatlining. So we're definitely starting to see, as this author talked about here, starting to see the pullback in AI. Now, this is my current predictions. I don't think we're going to see like a massive market crash. I think we're going to see a pullback. I think we're going to see a pullback to where we start pulling back to real levels and real values. So Karpathy triggered the entire industry by saying that it's the decade of agents, not just the year of agents. And his reasoning is that current AI agents, quote, just don't work and are, quote, cognitively lacking in fundamentals ways. Another time, in another one of his speeches, that he said that it was brilliantly stupid, right? It was actually a quote from Karpathy where he said that AI is brilliantly stupid. So these systems can't do continual learning. They can't tell them, you can't tell them something and have them remember it next time. They lack true multimodal understanding. They can't handle computer properly and have massive intelligence gaps. So even Karpathy himself, who builds this stuff, right? He's just recently released Nano Chat, I think it's called, just released one where you can run it. And again, it was really interesting because he said, hey, let's, here I made this so that anybody can run their own, OpenAI competition. You don't really need a lot of hardware, just 8 H100s. Okay, just to put that in perspective, that's about $20,000 worth of computing to run that 24/7 for a month. Okay, like I don't know a lot of people who have just spare $20,000 worth of computing laying around. If you have that hardware, 8 H100s, or even if you were to build that similar stack with the new Blackwells, which is the cheapest that you can get, the Pro 6000. Blackwell Pro 6000 is actually, those run right now right about $9,000 a piece, and you need 8 of those. So just need roughly 70 grand, right? So even Karpathy himself, who builds this, finds tools like Claude Code net unhelpful. So this is coming from the insider who has 15 years watching AI predictions versus reality. Now, Karpathy used fascinating metaphors. He said, we're not building animals with brains, we're building ghosts or spirit entities. LLMs are basically compression systems, statistical memories of trained data, not thinking machines. They hallucinate confidently because they generate plausible text, not retrieving actual facts. Now, perfect memorization is actually holding them back. This fundamental architecture problem means that we're not on a path to AGI, we're on a path to better text prediction. Now, Karpathy admits that early OpenAI focus on games and reinforcement learning was a misstep. The industry spent years on Atari games thinking it would lead somewhere, but it mostly didn't. He was also suspicious that games would lead to AGI because real work requires things like being an accountant, not beating video games. Now, current agents work okay for boilerplate code that appears often online, but fails in unique, intelligently intense work. So the similar web data backs this up. Only developer tools grew 75% year over year. Everything else was declining or flat. The year of agents hype is the same pattern. Labs overpromise on timelines that Karpathy knows will take 10 times longer. Now, according to SimilarWeb's latest tracking that I was showing you, OpenAI properties only grew 9%, while newcomer DeepSeek exploded 8,000%. This isn't innovation. This is market fragmentation showing no moat, no defensibility. AI content creation tools are declining. Music generation and writing content both showed negative growth. Freelance platforms like TopTool went down 35%. Guru crashed from 18% to negative 30% in just 5 months. The only winners are coding tools. Cursor was up 97%, but even that's not sustainable with this much competition. A lot of people are turning to free open source tools for this. Zero-click searches jumped from 56 to 69%, meaning AI is literally stealing traffic from sites it learned from. So companies quietly bringing humans back after discovering AI mistakes cost more than human review. Karpathy himself doesn't want AI serving, quote, mountains of code. He wants collaboration and learning. He says, I want to learn along the way and become a better programmer, not just get code served to me. So 50% of organizations that plan to cut customer service staff by 2027 are now abandoning those plans. So getting from 99% to 99.9% reliability takes as long as going from 0 to 90%, and we're nowhere near 99%. So in my years of software development, this confirms reliability trumps capability every single time. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, reach out to us, because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work to maximum efficiency. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer. We can help you out. Now, tech companies projected to spend $400 billion this year on AI infrastructure. That's more than we spent to put humans on the moon. Not over a decade, but every 10 months they're estimated to spend this month. The MIT study found 95% of companies investing in generative AI are seeing zero returns. Thinking Machines raised $2 billion at a $10 billion valuation with no product and wouldn't answer investors' questions. OpenAI on track for a $20 billion revenue, but still unprofitable. The math doesn't work. So Julian Garin calculated this bubble is 17 times bigger than the dot-com and 4 times bigger than the 2008 housing crisis. So Karpathy says that we're already in an intelligence explosion and have been for decades. Everything has been gradually automated for hundreds of years, and AI isn't special in this regard. This directly contradicts that AI will change everything overnight narrative, driving valuations. So his take is genius of today are barely scratching the surface of what human mind can do. No breakthrough on the horizon that leads to sudden AGI is evolutionary, not revolutionary. The steady automation means displaced workers have time to adapt, not get blindsided. Now, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. The best compliment you can give me is to leave your thoughts down below, so make sure you comment. Now, Karpathy warns, quote, AI slop, which is low-quality AI-generated content degrading the digital landscape. When agents run without human oversight, you get generic, repetitive, soulless output. So his vision is AI as powerful assistants that ask questions and collaborates, not autonomous executors. We're building tools to augment capabilities, not replace humans, but market is pricing in full replacement. So investor Paul Kodrowski, an AI capitalist spending, says AI capitalist spending is sucking capital away from other parts of the economy like manufacturing. So the same pattern as the 1990s telecom bubble, massive spending in one area, starving everything else. So Karpathy's timeline is that it's going to be more like 10 years at best, and I've actually found him to be generally more optimistic than even me. I'm a realist, not a skeptic, but a realist. And he says we're going to be at least 10 years for functional agents, assuming no major breakthroughs hit or hit walls, right? Problems are traceable and surmountable, but difficult. This is a fundamental research, not engineering. Markets priced in a 2-year sprint to AGI, but the reality for AGI, and I'm talking about agents, I'm saying we'll have useful agents in 10 years and AGI in 20 to 30 years. IMF economists, and this doesn't stand for Impossible Mission Force, economists directly compare AI boom to dot-com bubble and warn of potential burst. Companies that built real solutions to real problems will survive. Hype chasers will get destroyed. So in my 25 years of building software, I've seen this pattern repeatedly. The ROI reckoning always comes, and it's usually pretty brutal. Now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to have a great discussion, so make sure you leave a comment down below, and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to build custom software solutions for companies, so hit us up at startuphack.com/Spencer, and here's some great information about our services. Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment, perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer.